Hello there. Man, we had a really good, I don't know about you guys who went to church today, but at my service, we had a really good teaching. It was a heart-to-heart message of my friend Stephen, who is the teacher today at my community. And he basically revealed things from his heart, things that the Lord was showing him that our community specifically needed to hear. And funny thing, the whole reason why I'm even at um, this community is because what drew me in was every time I went on a Sunday when I first started going about a year ago. God was speaking through each of the teachers, and they were teaching messages that were aligned with the Parsha for that season, for that week. And if you don't know what a Parsha is just a portion of Scripture, a portion of the Torah, that the Jewish people read all over the world in the synagogues that week. They go through the entire Bible within a week, from Bereshit or Genesis all the way through Devarim, which is uh, Deuteronomy, and they do that from Rosh Hashanah, which is what happened last Wednesday. They start reading the entire Bible all the way through to Rosh Hashanah the next year. And so, yeah, for the first, like, I would say 6 to 8 weeks that I was going, the teaching was right in line with the Parsha. And they didn't even plan it. They didn't even know that they were doing that. But that just proved to me that, yeah, this is where I need to be. God's speaking through them, because they were aligned, and they didn't even know it. And so even today, it's funny. He was sharing from his heart things that God has revealed to him. And it's interesting because, as I don't know if you know this, but this is the month of Elul, where the king is in his, they say the king is in this field. The Jewish people, that's a saying. They say the king is in his field. He's not in his castle, in his throne room. He's actually out, to have an intimate time with his people where he can hear what they have to say, hear what they have to complain, and or hear the good things. And then the king also opens his mouth and shares his heart with his people. It's called Elul, Elul, and it's the time of the high holidays, which is Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. I'll let you guys research that out and figure out what those things represent. He spoke a little bit about the high holidays, all six of them, the ones that occur in the spring and the ones that occur in the fall. And yeah, it's interesting because he was bearing his heart, which is what the Lord had bared his heart to Stephen, and then it was basically the same thing that this month is about, the heart of the King. It's an intimate time. Anyway, I'll just share a little bit today on some of the things that he talked about. And one of the things that popped out in my head during the service, I didn't share this with him. I wanted to just let Stephen take the spotlight because I knew God was speaking through him. And I tried to minimize any comments that I had because we kind of have an open forum, kind of like Midrashic, and kind of like they do in some of the shuls in Jewish synagogues where people talk back and forth and openly discuss the topics. And so one thing that popped out in my head, which I restrained myself from sharing, was the verse where, God is with Abraham and he's with two other, there's three angels who are messengers, and they visit Abraham, and they're having like a meal with Abraham that Abraham and Sarah had prepared for them. And the question is that should I keep hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? And that's in Genesis or Bereshit 18:17, chapter 18, verse 17. And you see a character trait of God that he does not want to hide what he's doing from Abraham. He wants to reveal and disclose what he's about to do. He trusts Abraham so much, Abraham's such a faithful servant. He even calls him a friend. That he shares secrets with Abraham. They're that close, and that stuck in my head through the whole service. Is because we were kind of talking about things that are hidden, things that we kind of not necessarily always bad things. It's just like even promises, right? Because Abraham had a promise given to him, and some of the people in our community openly shared some of the promises that they felt they had, or some of the things that their desires even might not have even been a promise, but these were personal things that they really felt that they desired, and they felt God had promised to them. And I couldn't help but think of the Abraham story, of how God even, promised to him something, and he didn't even hold that back. So I wrote a bunch of stuff down through my day as I thought about it, and kind of chewed on it for a little bit. Um, I thought about, a lot of people are talking about in the end of the service of, the topic of idols was brought up, because in a way it's like these things that they feel like God has even given them, or these promises, they've kind of held it like an idol, right? An idol is just anything that you're kind of um, putting in the place of God, even if it's a promise that God had given you, that still small voice kind of promise. And it's funny to me how idol even sounds like idolatry sounds like adultery. Kind of the wordplay of that word, those two words in English. They're kind of also there are comparisons between the Ten Commandments of how the commandment that you shall not have idols is in a way related to do not commit adultery. Because in a way you're kind of committing adultery with God when you have idols in your life. You're putting something in place of him, like you would put in place of your wife if you were married. It's not just what we keep hidden from him, but there's also things that he hides from us later to be revealed, right? Like with Abraham. He was hiding something from Abraham, but when Abraham proved himself trustworthy, God trusted it with him and revealed it. Or you could say Abraham beheld that which was previously hidden, because he was a faithful servant. After a time of being tested, going one place to the next, and when God asked him to sojourn, not to dwell, he earned God's trust, and so the hidden things were eventually revealed. Kind of like the story of the great catch, the first great catch versus the second great catch in Matthew and in John, where the first time the disciples encounter Jesus, Yeshua, and he tells them to cast their nets on the right side of the boat, and then the boat starts to sink. There's so many fish, their nets start to break, the boat starts to sink. And Peter says, "Get away from me, Lord, for I'm not a clean man." Um, that story. And then you see the later story where they have another great catch, and the Lord, because the Lord tells them again to cast their nets on the right, the side of blessing, the side of grace, the side of mercy, the right side. And they catch all these like 183 species of fish, and their nets don't break, their boats don't sink. It's because they've gone through this process of refinement or mending their nets, so to say, quote unquote, mending their nets, that they were found better prepared, I guess, to receive the promise, to behold what was to be revealed. Um, yeah, so that's one story that I wanted to share, because those the story of the great catch, the story of Abraham, there's a parallel there. Let me pause this for a second.